Okay. I'm getting the thumbs up here. I think we're live. I hope we're live. Are we live or is it Memorex?
We're live, Craig.
We're
We're
live. Okay.
live.
Well, welcome to Taters and Shrimps on the Barbie. My name is Craig Jamieson, and I'm coming to you from Boise, Idaho. I'm joined today by my co-host, Mr. Potato Head, over this shoulder here. No, my co-host is over on the other side here. It's Ross Keating from Queensland, Australia. So, good day, Ross. Why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself?
G'day, Craig. Hey, great to see you. And I'm so pleased I'm on the beach today. It's around about, going to be about late 80s, early 90s. So it's going to be a tough day. The water temperature's in the mid 70s. So if you want to come for a swim, maybe we could do that.
I'm on my way.
Yeah. But I love living here on the Gold Coast. And folks, my business is Nextree Business Growth Consultancy. And I focus on helping businesses only do five things: increase sales, reduce expenses, improve their productivity and efficiency, get more bang for the marketing buck, and ultimately make more profit. And Craig and I have been working here together for a number of years, helping clients use customer relationship management strategies, systems, and processes to do exactly that. And we bring together a wealth of skills. And so I love working with Craig. He's got a wealth of knowledge. Craig, your turn round.
Well, thanks, Ross. So, Ross does a lot of the sales and the marketing thing. I like to refer to myself as kind of the one trick pony here. My background is B2B sales going back to 1977, including a lot of management, most of my time in management and ownership positions. Like Ross, I am a nimble CRM solution partner. So the bulk of my time is spent helping businesses implement nimble in their environment, and then also providing sales training, to those companies. So those are my two real passions in life here. So we're going to be holding these sessions. If you haven't sat in before, we hold these sessions, just so you know, every other Monday, same time. Sometimes we get started a little bit late due to technical issues. So today would be one of those. But we talk about sales, we talk about marketing, of course, we talk about CRM. Everything that kind of runs in there, and like what Ross said, with the goal of making folks more efficient and ultimately increasing their revenues and increasing their profits. So we invite you to leave comments and questions and try to get to them today. But certainly if we can't get to those and you leave them, we'll try to fit them in with a future session here. So last 2 weeks ago, we started the discussion about how to get more bang for your sales and marketing buck. And we were talking a lot about the how to, and we were talking about, a lot of CRM things that you can do. So the mechanics that are involved in focusing on your best prospects. So today we're going to talk a little bit more detail about how do you actually find those people and those companies that are most likely to do business with. Keep in mind that there's one finite thing in all of our lives here, and that's 24 hours a day. You've only got so much time, so you can be out chasing everybody and finding a few gems in the field there, or you can be focusing down, really narrowing down your search to focus on those people that do have the highest likelihood of purchasing from you. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. So Ross, I'll let you start us out.
Well, Craig, I think the first part of the discussion is, and I've got it up on screen there, is ideal client persona and target buyer persona. What's the difference? I mean, a lot of people talk about the ideal client persona, but often I don't hear it so much these days, the target buyer persona. I think you highlighted the difference in this when we were having a discussion the other week, and I think you've got some really good points about it.
Oh, so you're okay. Well, basically, when we talk about the ideal client persona, the ideal client profile, we're usually talking about the type of a business that you're going to work with. So when we talk about that business, it could be, depending on your product or service, it could be a vertical market that you're chasing after that only uses the kind of services that you're doing. So that's a really easy way to look at that. But it's also based on a lot of different things, and you're going to have to give this some thought. So, I mean, it's the size of the company that you're working with. Maybe it's the geographic location. Maybe it's a number of employees. Every business, and I'm talking about your business, has a different ideal type of client. One of the best ways to start in identifying those people is think about your best customers. Look at your existing customer base and what do they have in common. So if I've got clients that, buy from me consistently and they're great clients and maybe they have a lot of different commonalities. So ideally, I'd like to be able to clone those and get more of them. So that's one way to start out. But then from there, you get into your target buyer persona. And now you're looking at who within that organization is the person that I'm most likely going to deal with. So for me, for example, I don't have, since most of the stuff I do is on Zoom, I don't necessarily have a geographical limitation other than I only speak two languages. I speak American and I speak Canadian fluently. But and I'm learning Australian, but I'm not very good at it. But as long as they speak English, I'm in pretty good shape. But I'm dealing mostly with solo entrepreneurs. I'm dealing with small businesses, even micro businesses. Businesses that have $1 trillion worth of sales and 10,000 employees. That's not my target market. That's not my ideal client persona. But when I look at the people that I'm most likely to work with, it's going to be business owners. It's going to be presidents, VPs, sales management. Those are the people I deal with. I don't deal with procurement people. I don't deal with the CFOs or whatever. So those are my target buyer personas. So once again, start off, who are they? Where are you going to find them? And then when you get down to the individuals, what motivates them? What are the things that they're really interested in accomplishing? Because those are the things that you're going to speak to them about. So once again, start with your existing clients. And then from there, you can, continue on and look at, not only people that match your personas, but then also you might look at influencers. You might look at what I call power partners, people that are going to be able to refer you to other people. Those are other people that you want to look at. Certainly existing clients, past clients, people that have done business with you in the past. Those should also be part of that mix. So, Ross, add on.
Well, that's the thing is that split between the ideal client persona and target buyer. And you talk there about looking at your own database, because that's the best way to do. The good old 80-20 rule is another good place to start. When you look at your database, which of the 20% give you 80% of your revenue? And it's not a hard rule of thumb. It might be 70-30, 75-25, 60-40. But which one is given? Where does the bulk of the revenue come from? And what do those clients look like? Now, your ideal, you may have a lot of clients that you work with, but they are difficult, or they don't. It's not an easy sale. Yet there may be a client within that group that you would love to have a lot more of, because you can maybe, if you're providing a service, you can do that service more quickly for them, and the turnover increases the profitability because you may be charging good margin. Maybe there's a group of them that can afford to pay more than what the person who currently, the group that currently are your main spenders or revenue generators, but maybe there's a group that will spend more and you actually make more profit because it's taking less time to do it, or it's easier to reach them and communicate with them, and you may use less product. Maybe it's a dog grooming business and you don't have to use as much shampoo on a little dog as you do a great big dog. Craig's got huskies, but they take a while to do because they're big dogs, got big fur. on them. So it's looking at that, like, what is your ideal, is your client personas or current clients, and what's the ideal one you want? And I think that's an important part. And then Craig was talking about the buyer personas on a business to business scale, but you also have it on a business to consumer scale. I work with a business, and it was in the financial services sector and in insurance, and they had the policy holder, they had the person who paid the policy, they had the life insured, and they had the beneficiary. Now, they weren't necessarily all the same people. So when I wanted to send out a communication about looking at new products, each of those would have something different. We'd have to target that differently because they had a different role in the decision making, and they may require a different type of product or service. So that becomes a very focused on target buyer. I have other clients that are looking at specific industries and people in those industries, and they work it down that they have got wholesalers, they've got installers, they've got manufacturers, and they've got the retail outlets. And they are focusing very much on the first three and not on the last three, the fourth one. So those are the aspects that, from an ideal client persona and target buyer persona, what I do. And you need to look at, but how do you manage that, Craig? I mean, I'm keen to say, you use a customer relationship management system. There's 465 out there. You and I are both known to be Nimble Solution Partners, which is one of the top 10 CRMs for small and medium businesses. But, what's your thoughts about how to use a CRM for this? And we're not going to do a demo here. We haven't got time for that.
Well, there goes my whole spiel. Well, before I address that really quickly, I think I wanted to talk about what I consider to be the elephant in the room, and that's social. So we're on LinkedIn right now, and I think we're also broadcasting on Facebook and maybe YouTube and everything. So I can remember, when as first social media first came out, and I didn't really understand it. I couldn't understand what people were doing with it. And then somebody mentioned the term social selling. So now it was like, and we've all been approached by people on LinkedIn that are trying to sell us something. But here's the problem. It comes back to that 80-20 rule, if you want to do that. So answer me this honestly. So I'm a discriminating connector on LinkedIn, but I've still got over 1,000 connections on LinkedIn. What percentage of those people do I know? Honestly, a very small percentage. And what percentage of those people have a likelihood of buying with me? Mm-hmm. So if I'm trying to focus on over 1,000 people on LinkedIn, and there was a time when I had, I think, close to 10,000 followers on Twitter, right? Until I shut my account down, and then I said, well, maybe I shouldn't have done that. So now I think I've got 100. So it's a lot more manageable. But how do you manage that? How do you find those people? And how do you focus on what their needs are? Because you got to keep in mind the whole idea behind any of this is that you have to take a relationship, however you establish it, if you establish it on social or whatever, the idea is you have to take it to real life, where you're going to have a conversation, whether it's on Zoom or face-to-face or whatever it is. So when I go to the news feed on Facebook or on Twitter or on LinkedIn, how do I focus on those things? So there's different ways, and I'll just throw this out here. There's different ways that you can do it on each platform. With Twitter, if Twitter's your honeypot and you spend a lot of time on Twitter and you use it to identify people and everything, you can create lists on Twitter. And then you can filter your news feed to only see these lists. So you can have a list of these are my target people that I'm chasing after, your ideal client profile, your target buyer persona. So when you go to Twitter and you look at the news feed, you're going to see that. On Facebook, you can create groups, and you can do the same basic thing on Facebook. Now, LinkedIn is a little bit more difficult. Okay. LinkedIn, there was a time, and I'm talking about a standard LinkedIn account and maybe even a standard premium account. Sales Navigator gives you a little bit more flexibility in this regard. But with a standard account, you used to be able to tag people on LinkedIn, and then you could focus your newsfeed with that. Well, that went away. That was too good. They got rid of it. So there's a couple of things that you can do on LinkedIn. Of course, you can choose to unfollow people that you don't want, that you don't really have any interest in or any opportunity to do business with. But, and that's, I'm saying you could disconnect from those people. But you could also unfollow people. And if you unfollow somebody on LinkedIn, you're not disconnecting from them. They're still going to maintain a first degree connection status, but they're not going to clog up your news feed. Okay.
Yeah,
so
right.
now it becomes more focused. It's either that or you go to their profile on a regular basis to see what they're talking about, who they're talking to, that type of thing, because we're trying to build up a dossier on these people and understand, what their interests are, what commonalities we have, what makes them tick. So now, with that being said, once you've got that, and if you're using a CRM, so I talked about tagging that used to be available on LinkedIn, no longer available. That's what I'm really big on, is tagging. As just Nimble uses tags. Most CRMs have some sort of a system. You can do that in the old industry field or whatever, but in Nimble it's tags. So I'm going to look at my A clients. We talked about this a little bit 2 weeks ago. I think you called them silver, gold, platinum. I call them ABC. A people are the people that are most likely to do business with me, and that would include my existing clients. I've got my B people that I'd like to move up to A. They've got potential. I need to do a little bit more qualifying on them. And then I've got my C people. So now I can organize those people and I can set them on a schedule where I'm going to reach out to them on a regular basis. Nimble does it with something called a stay in touch reminder, where I could say, for example, my A clients, I'm going to reach out to them every 2 weeks. My B clients, I'm going to reach out to them once a month. My C people, I'm going to reach out every 2 months, whatever it is, right?
Yes.
And then you set up a recurring progressive engagement schedule, because the whole idea, the whole challenge is, and this is exactly the same thing as advertising. So now I'm getting into the marketing field for what I know about advertising. Why do I see all these commercials over and over again on TV or listen to them on the radio, whatever? Because they want to stay top of mind. I don't need that product or service now, but when I do need that product, I'm going to think about these commercials I've seen or these businesses I've driven past. I used to sell on-premise advertising, which is called electric signage, right? And those businesses are advertising. They're in my neighborhood, so I'm their target buyer, right? Okay, I drive by them 2 or 3 times a day. Hey, so now I need to go to a hardware store. Well, there's a hardware store right down the corner, right? So it's when that need arises, I want to be top of mind. So you've got classify them, put them on a recurring schedule, do progressive engagement, stay top of mind. And it's not just like, hey, how are you? Are you ready to buy something yet? I mean, it's giving them stuff, it's sending them stuff that's of interest to them, which is, something else you can do with something like Nimble through group messaging. Yeah. I've talked enough. Ross, take it away.
We're coming up close to the moment of time, but I want to just emphasize that bit about what Craig said, from the difference in the client persona to the target buyer. And even within my own database, I've got groups of accountants and bookkeepers only, because I want to talk to them in a certain way. I have HR and recruitment consultants. I have all these different groups that want to be talked to differently. And don't forget, they have different values that they're looking for when you're communicating. From a business point of view, they're looking at things might be from a values point of view of affordability and convenience and quality. They might be looking at durability, the function of what you're selling. Might be the environmental sustainability of your product or service. How do you communicate? What's the customer service like? Those are all the type of things that you've got to take into consideration in what values that you're trying to relate to. But also you've got to have the personal bias, the personal values of the people. And this is an important part that is of creating a buyer persona, is that you have those values that from a business point of view, but what will help them make a decision? How do they make a decision, and what is important to them? Things like honesty, respect, we talk about all those things. But I mean, under the code breakers, bank personnel, the 4 different bank codes: blueprint, action, nurturing, knowledge. Each of those people have up to 12 different values that they're going to be making their decision on, and how you talk to them. Are you going to talk about their community? A nurturer is looking to have you talk about their community and their teamwork and things like that, where an action person wants about the fun, the freedom, the flexibility of your product and service. What will it mean to them in the end? You're talking to them about how they will feel a lot more. And then you've got people who are the blueprints. They want to know the details of your products and services. And that is part of your sales process. So you have to understand those parts of your buyer personas and your ideal client personas as well. So, Craig, we just come up to the 21 minutes now on that.
Well, I just sort of, what Ross is really hitting on important points here, because, he's personalizing, he's massaging his message for the individual client as well as the type of client, because they have different needs and different interests and different wants and different ways they want to be talked about. So it's that personalized messaging, as opposed to all the junk that you get in your email folder every morning from people that don't do personalized messaging, that you immediately delete or spam. So I think that's just something that's incredibly important. So, so with that, I think we've run out of time today here. So I guess we'll say goodbye.
Yeah.
So thank you so much.
And thank you so much for listening in. If you've got any questions, please take advantage of making contact with Craig and I. We're quite happy to have a consultation. There's Craig's Calendly link to book a time has been running through here today. My one has been running through here as well. And so feel free to make contact with us. But thank you very much. If you've got any questions, give us a call. But in the meantime, this is Ross from the Gold Coast of Australia. Have a fantastic day each and every day.
Right. Thank you, folks. Bye-bye.